Yo, what is up guys, and welcome to another Epic 7 video. Okay, so in today's Epic 7 video, will be a bit of a account overview video. I'll be going over some of my characters that I built up for PvP, showing you guys their gear and stats, as well as a bit of a Guild War performance flex. It's not very often that I get 3 wins against a semi-competitive guild. So I'll be showing you guys the offensive and defensive attacks in Guild War. A bit unfortunate that I didn't record any of these fights, as I did my Guild War attacks in the morning when I was eating breakfast, so I didn't feel it was appropriate to do a recording at the time. I'll keep in mind next time though, and probably record my fights, so we have some game footage. Okay, first off, let's go over some of the characters I've built up for PvP. Starting off with my Celine. There she is. Stats are pretty good. Almost 100% crit rate. Decent amount of crit damage. I have her on a speed set, unfortunately no secondary set. And her artifact can be enhanced a little bit more, but I'm currently saving on the artifact charms, I believe. Next is actually my Falconer Clury, who is actually a staple in both my PvP and PvE teams. I pretty much use her in pretty much every single regular arena fight, and mostly in Guild Wars as well. Just because her skill 3 is just so strong in my opinion. You can even soul burn it to pretty much guarantee the strip, defense debuff, and provoke. And what I like to do is combo her with Spectre Tenebria. I usually just soul burn the skill 3 because my Spectre Tenebria is holding Tagahel's Ancient Book. And I just send the skill 3 from Spectre Tenebria into whatever target I want to one-shot. And you guys might be wondering why my Falconer Clury is not on Aureus. I don't think Aureus is necessarily the best artifact on her. Especially mine, since mine is fairly squishy. She only has like almost not even 15k HP and about 1500 defense. So compared to other knights that I have, like she doesn't really survive if she's absorbing the damage that's also taken from the rest of my allies. So that's why I figured Aureus, it's good on her, but I feel like it's better to just give her a different type of artifact. Like right now I currently have Justice for All, just so she can cycle through the different buffs that she can get, because for a knight, she's one of the faster knights that you can have out there, and she also has a CR push on her passive. It is a bit RNG though, unless you have this artifact maxed to 100%. Even then, you're not guaranteed a buff you really want. Like some of these buffs, like the crit hit chance and the attack isn't that great. You mostly want the defense, speed, barrier, or immunity. I mean, a lot of these buffs you can benefit from, but yeah, it's still subject to RNG. You can also put, what do you call it, Adamant Shield. I actually think Adamant Shield might be better on Falconer Clury, because she's not going to absorb any damage taken from the allies, but it can also provide some damage mitigation for my Spectre Tenebria. That's an issue I usually find is, since I'm running Falconer Clury, I usually don't want to run another knight with Aureus. I used to run Fallen Cecilia a lot, but now I'm adopting more of a offensive playstyle rather than just a more defensive playstyle with Fallen Cece. I haven't been using her as much as I used to. But yeah, that's my Falconer Clury stats. Kind of wish she had better stats, a little bit more speed. I wanted to try and get her to 260, but I couldn't with my gear. My gear is pretty trash right now, and she's also fairly frail, like I said before. But she does win me quite a few games just because of the guaranteed strip, defense buff, debuff, and provoke. And speaking of Fallen Cecilia, there she is. These are her gear and stats. I managed to give her quite a bit of HP compared to before. I believe before she was on like some of my budget HP gear, so she only had around 23, 24k HP. Now she's at 27k HP with 1,000, almost 1,600 defense. So like I said, compared to someone like Falconer Clury, she has way more durability and bulk, and that's why I have her on the artifact Aureus, which is her best in slot. I used to run her in pretty much every single one of my fights in Arena and Guild War, but nowadays I don't really see myself using her as much as, like I said, I've been adopting more of a offensive playstyle. The only time I really bring her is into very aggressive teams or even cleave teams. Sometimes it works, sometimes she isn't able to protect, like my Spectre Tenebria sometimes. If someone's going to cleave you and they have the gear advantage, there's really not much you can do about it. Oh yeah, and some of you guys commented before to put Molagora investment in my Fallen Cecilia. I got it. I was waiting to max out her friendship to level 10 so I could save out on some Molagora, but yeah, I finally skilled up her ultimate to the cooldown one, and I got her passive, which I believe is probably the most important one, so her barriers can actually protect my Spectre Tenebria. I think the skill one's not really worth it, just for the effect, chance, and damage, and the damage on the ultimate also probably isn't worth the Molagora investment. Alright, next is Mercedes, who I finally got her, I guess, quote-unquote, specialty change. I don't really think that's what it's called, but whatever. Anyways, I got the upgraded Mercedes, geared her up, gave her her unique artifact. I did upgrade her skills almost to max. They're all one-off max. I'm not sure why I didn't plus 15 her. I think I'm trying to, like, save my Mola just in case I need to build a specific unit up really quickly. But anyways, she's fairly built. I do use her very occasionally in Arena against mostly Spectre Tenebria because she's able to actually kill Spectre Tenebria after an ultimate or a couple of counterattacks. I might put her in my Guild War defense because she's pretty good in Guild War defense. But currently I'm running Fire Ravi instead, which honestly I think Fire Ravi is just a worse version of Fire Mercedes right now. I don't know, I just have some favoritism towards Fire Ravi because she was my first 5-star character that I ever got, and I'm just too used to her playstyle. So eventually I'll probably replace Fire Ravi and put my Fire Mercedes on my Guild War defense. Okay, next is my Spectre Tenebria, who is solo carrying me through both Arena and Guild War currently. By far my strongest unit on my entire account for now. And these are her stats. Would like a bit more crit damage, but I have mine built a little bit more bulkier just because the gear stats like to roll into HP and defense. I mean, I guess it's fine. It's less likely she gets blown up by AoE attacks. And I recently memory imprinted her with a copy of Fairy Tail Tenebria that I got from those scam custom banners. She's on a Tagahel's plus 30. So pretty solid. And I have her on this penetration necklace I got from, I believe, Epic Hell Raid or something. And then I got this piece also from Epic Hell Raid. So I managed to get a pretty strong set with these two pieces. And once I get her friendship level to level 10, I am probably going to, well, no, not probably, I will max out her skills. She only has one more skill that I have to max Mola out. Alright, next is Ludwig. Yeah, you guys might be laughing, but I don't know. I just wanted to try him out before I decide to never use him again. I've had mixed results with him. There are some games or matches where I'm actually able to cleave and kill off the entire enemy team. There's actually going to be a Guild War fight that I actually managed to cleave the entire enemy's defense with Ludwig, but it was a very close fight, and I'll talk about that later once we get to it. I have him on a budget attack set and crit set, and a maxed out Portrait of the Saviors, and his exclusive equipment. I believe it's a little bit short of max. Yeah, it is. I can't bother. It's just 1%. I'm not going to bother with it. I could technically imprint concentrate him for more crit rate. It's only like 5.6, and I already have him at 99% crit rate, so I think the extra attack percent might be helpful if I'm running a second damage dealer, which sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. I don't have him fully molded out for skills because what I figured is his combo is you use his skill 2 on a target that you want to stun, and then you gain invincibility. And then you basically wait until your next turn. You use the skill 3, and by then you should have killed pretty much the entire team, if not have won the fight by then. That's how Ludwig Cleave is supposed to work. That's why I figured, like, is there really even any point in putting points in his skill 1 or moloing it? I already put some points in here because he had some spare molos from the friendship level 10. But I figured, I don't know if this is actually worth it. Maybe I should do it if I plan on using him in the long run, but for now, I think this is more than enough molo investment for my Ludwig. Alright, next is my Zahak, and this dude is an absolute beast. I picked him from the 5-star RGB selector that we got a couple weeks ago because I needed him for Nightmare Hell Raid. I used him against, what was it? I think the Juvie Council. Yeah, the one you need 4 Earth units in, and he's very, very good for that fight. And he's also good in PvP. He's been carrying me against Aiden teams. I absolutely love running this dude into Aiden, the 2 Violets, the Rylet and the Green Violet, because he can just hit them and they almost never dodge. The only time where I do find some issue with Zahak is if I run into a, like, really tanky Aiden that's paired with a Arrowwell. Because sometimes the Escort and the Shield is just too much, not even Zahak. Unless I Falconer Clary burn the S3, the Soul burn the S3 for the defense break, then I can one-shot Aiden with Zahak, but otherwise, there's been like once or two instances where I wasn't able to one-shot the Aiden, which led to some issues. And these are his stats. You only need 50% crit rate on him because his skill 3 and skill 2 give you 50% crit rate already. So his gear is not that hard to get. I would like more crit damage though. I sort of built him near the end. So a lot of his gear is basically leftover gear from what I had remaining after gearing the majority of my units. I have him on Symbol of Unity. It's only going to be able to upgrade to level 15 for now. I'm trying to save some artifact charms, so he's not even fully built, and he's doing a pretty good job dealing with Aidens currently. And as we all know, Savior Aiden is literally everywhere in the meta. Alright, next is Tywin. He's not a PvP unit, or at least I don't have him built as a PvP unit. He's my main tank for Wyvern 13, but I did use him in one of the guild fights with Ludwig for the Ludwig cleave. And it's so funny because I was like, this is my old team that I used to use. I used to run Tywin, A-Lots, Ludwig, and then one other character that's either a damage dealer or a CR pusher. But ever since they reworked him, he doesn't really work in that team. But I just brought him because I would needed an AoE defense breaker, and I couldn't find anyone else that I had built up that was viable at the time, and it somehow worked. I somehow beat that dude with a PvE Wyvern 13 front tank, Tywin. Like, if you take a look at his artifact, he's on Steady Fast Gatekeeper. This does literally nothing. I guess it gives everyone defense, but like... oh man, I just thought it was hilarious when I won that guild fight. I'll show you guys later. But his gear is like potato gear too. He's got like an 88 gear here, I guess, but he's using like level or tier 70 gear from like an event that I did ages ago. Yeah, his gear is pretty bad, but it does do the job for Wyvern 13. Alright, next is Fire Ken. You guys might be surprised about this, but I actually do use him in PvP. Obviously, his main purpose, or the main reason I built him originally, was for Golem. I do use him for Golem 13, but I've been getting a lot of success, and I mean, I have like probably a 90 to 80% win rate in Arena using whenever I bring this guy. I usually bring him into fights where I need to kill off a specific enemy. Like, for instance, let's say there's a ML Landy, and I don't think that my Spectre Tenebria can kill her after I soul burn the S3 on Falconer Clary, because Landy sometimes, she has very high crit resistance, so if Spectre Tenebria misses that crit, then Landy might survive. So I bring Ken as extra backup, because with his new exclusive weapon, whenever you use his skill 2, he'll trigger a dual attack with the ally with the highest attack, which is going to be my Spectre Tenebria. And this also does defense break if, for some reason, Falconer Clary's S3 misses or something. And this will usually finish off that priority target, such as ML Landy. And he's also just good into many of the Earth units that are meta currently, such as Senya, Destina. You can usually defense break them or stun them, preventing them from pretty much doing anything. Here's my Deanne. I do use her occasionally for PvP and Guild Wars, but she kind of gets overshadowed by Meteor Kawaric, who I'm going to talk about next because he's right there. Because they both cleanse, they both give an attack buff. The only difference is she does heal a bit thanks to this artifact here. And she also provides the crit resistance buff on her skill 3. But other than that, I just feel like my Meteor Kawaric just does everything better than what she does. So, I mean, she's still useful. I do use her in various different types of content, so I don't regret putting gear or building her up. And here's the man who brings balance to the world, Mediator Kawaric. I really love using this character. So glad I pulled him on that 110 pull for free. Probably the best thing that could have happened to me on this account. So these are his stats and his gear. I have him on Warhorn, but it's only at pretty much plus 15. I'm probably going to need more copies of this, but that's going to take a while. It takes a lot of those wristbands in order to buy the artifacts to limit break and max them out. Yeah, his gear is pretty easy. Basically just speed and HP. Nothing. He doesn't require much investment either. After all, like, if you take a look here, he only has his skill 3 max out, and everything else is just base. I will eventually get this to at least the plus 3, but I'm waiting for him to be friendship level 10 to save some Molagora. But yeah, there's my Meteor Kawaric. I pretty much bring him almost every fight. I've been changing up my playstyle a bit, where there's some fights where I don't really need a cleanser, or if I need like Zahak, and Zahak can pretty much cleanse my priority target and give an attack buff. So in those particular fights, I usually opt for something else, maybe another tank, or maybe another defense shredder, something else. But those particular situations almost never occur. I bring him like 90 to 95% of my fights. All right, here's Ravioli, Fire Ravioli. Oh boy. She looks scary with those eyes, but yep, these are her stats. I had her tankier before, probably around over 20k HP for sure, and then less than 2k attack, so I was like, she's not really doing any damage. So I decided to lessen the bulk, give her more damage, and she's on like my best counter set. If I actually took the set and put it on my Fire Mercedes, I'm pretty sure Fire Mercedes would do a much better job than my Fire Ravi, but hey, like I said, I got a little bit of favoritism towards my Fire Ravi, and I love using her. I'm so used to her playstyle already, and we have her on a Sigurd Scythe, which is pretty solid, and her exclusive weapon is on the skill 3-1. But yeah, I mostly use Fire Ravi for Guild War defense, and I also have her on my arena defense as well. I bring her occasionally into some fights in arena, but very occasionally. They usually have to be like fights with a lot of Earth units, or a specific fight where Fire Ken. I use Fire Ken the majority of the time over Fire Ravi, where for some reason I don't care about the defense break on Fire Ken, and I'd rather have the AoE stun or something along those lines with Fire Ravi. Those fights are very rare. They rarely occur. Here's my auxiliary lots. So yeah, I put like my fastest or some of my best speed gear on him, and it's still pretty sad because he's only 256 speed. That is pretty bad for a cleaver, honestly, or opener on a cleaver team. I mean, it's the best I can do. So I've been trying him out in cleave teams, and like I said, it's been mixed results. Against like very slow players, it works. Against people who actually have proper gear and proper units, yeah, it's not going too well. I have him on the Spirit's Breath artifact. It's not fully enhanced. You actually want this artifact to be fully enhanced because I believe at the max level, it goes up to 90, 95. And then once you have it fully limit broken, it's 100%. But currently, it's only at +4, so it's a 55% chance to decrease the skill cooldown, which is you want it on his skill too. So it's kind of coin flip RNG, but I don't really want to burn all my artifact charms just for this dude. And I may or may not even use him further down the line. I'm just currently testing him out, playing around with him a bit before maybe eventually benching him. But for now, like I said, mixed results. I like to run him with Ludwig usually. Sometimes Spectre Tenebria as well. Alright, I built up Rowana recently, mostly, like I said, for Nightmare Raid Juvie Council. But she's also pretty good in PvP. In fact, recently I've been using her against counterattacking units like Bellion, ML Landy, and even Abyssal Euphine. And I've seen quite a bit of success with her too. She's definitely won me a couple of matches, both in Guild War and Arena. Like, I used to be absolutely terrified of Bellion. That character pretty much counters my entire playstyle with Spectre Tenebria because she locks your souls, and then her counterattacks and AoE just burn down Spectre Tenebria. However, with Rowana, not only does she heal up whenever Bellion counterattacks, she can also provide a revive buff that can sometimes save my Spectre Tenebria from those sticky situations where there's just too much AoE. So really loving this character overall. I think she's going to provide so much value for me in both PvP and PvE. Alright, and finally, last but not least, okay, maybe least to some of you guys who don't like her, but I like my Ruel of Light, okay? She might not shine as bright as Destina, but I've had some success with her in PvP when using her. I don't bring her out really often, obviously, but the times I do bring her out, I actually usually do win. And those times usually is against very aggressive teams, mostly with Strays. I've won a couple of fights in Arena against Strays when I brought Ruel because she can just revive the character that gets killed by Strays' ultimate. And if she's the one that gets hit and dies, well, I mean, I just sacrifice Ruel for Strays' ultimate, and usually that I'm okay with that. But yeah, you guys might have noticed that I have her on this weird 3-piece set with resist, immunity, and health. The reason for that is because I ran out of speed gear. She was like literally the last character I geared up, I believe, before my free unequip disappeared. So I didn't really have the proper gear to make a speed set on her. So I figured you know what? Just make her bulkier, give her some resist, immunity. It'll work. She works. I mean, sure, she's not nearly as fast as other Ruels. Hell, she's not even that tanky. She only has barely 17k HP and 1700 defense. But like I said, if I bring her into the right fights, I usually do claim a victory. Alright, and now on to Guild War. Wow, we're actually winning. We were losing earlier this morning when I did my attacks against this Artemis guild. And they're not like a garbage guild either. If you take a look here, they're ranked 334. And compared to us, we're only ranked 605. And I have gone 3-0 before against other guilds, but obviously it's probably against weaker guilds. Like if you take a look, yesterday we fought this newer or slash returning player guild. So I'm not really going to count that when I go 3-0 against them because half their players are like below level 70. So it's kind of just bullying at that point. But against these guys mean business. So we'll take a look at some of the matches that I had here. Let's go to status. Where's my tower at? Here. So unfortunately they bashed my tower down, as usual. Usually happens to me. But I did get 4 defense draws, which is very surprising. Usually my tower just gets blown up. It's like the first tower that everyone decides to hit, obviously, because if you take a look at my defense units, they aren't exactly that threatening. So we take a look at the first defense draw here. What did he do? This guy, the first half, it's just a Shu fight. Yeah, it's just Shu doing Shu things and killing my entire team. What else is new? The second half is where I actually managed to defend my tower. It seemed like he tried to do a Ran Cleave with Vivian and Challenger Domino. I remember Challenger Domino used to be like one of the best cleave units, or not necessarily cleave, but just aggressive units, because she would give like a CR push and crit rate boost to, it was either an ally or your entire team. I don't remember, but all I remember is fighting her and getting absolutely destroyed back then. So yeah, that Vivian Ran Cleave, I guess, on the second half didn't work too well for them, unfortunately. For this one, I don't know how he lost the first match. The second match, okay, that makes sense. Bissell Euphine and Aiden doing Aiden things. But the first half, how did he lose that with Pirate Captain Flan, Angel of Light, and Ruel? Oh, you know what might have happened? He might have just tried to skill 3 on Angel of Light, because that's maybe Flan went first. I'm not sure. Either Flan or AOL, Angel of Light, went first. I think what might have happened is Celine might have just used her passive or popped her passive off of Angel of Light's skill 3 and might have just one-shotted his Flan. That's actually pretty funny because he lost his Flan here and then he just immediately forfeited, I guess, because none of my units died on the first half. So that means he exited out of the fight really early. Huh, that's actually hilarious. I mean, if you want to play, you can play around Celine. That's why she's not that strong in higher ranks, because you can just play around her passive. But I guess either he forgot or didn't pay attention and used up Angel of Light skill 3, and my Celine probably ended up one-shotting his Pirate Captain Flan. Alright, that one is interesting to say the least. Next defense match, once again, the first half won. Really surprising. I figured the first half of my defense is weaker than my second half, but it's the one that won apparently. The first half, another Angel of Light, Senya, and Shu. I think he might have made the same mistake where, for sure, Angel of Light is definitely the fastest character to move on the enemy's team. But even if my Celine attacks after Angel of Light uses her skill 3, I don't know if she can actually one-shot. I believe the one with the highest attack is probably Senya. I don't think she can one-shot a Senya. Senya is very tanky. Like, she's one of the tankiest knights in the game. So I don't know. I mean, he did end up taking out my Celine eventually, but I really don't know how Fire Ravi and Diane managed to pull off a victory against both Senya and Shu. Maybe Senya, because Ravi can kind of deal with Senya, but Shu? Oh no, that rat. I freaking hate that rat. Get that rat out of my game. Yeah, I don't know how. Maybe it was just bad RNG or something with this fight. And second half, it's pretty obvious I just got cleaved. He just ran S3'd, and then Iseria threw all her bombs, and either finished off whoever was still alive. Probably nobody, though. Yeah, I just got my butt cleaved on the second half. Really? Again? I guess my first half for the guild defense team is pretty strong, apparently, because all my victories are coming from the first half rather than the second half. And I managed to wipe this dude's entire team. Wow, usually they exit out when their like main damage dealer gets taken out or something, so they have more characters for other attacks, but I just somehow managed to wipe out every single one of them, and he has like martial artist Ken, I don't know who this is. This is an Aspa collab character, I don't even know what she does, and then a maid Chloe, which is weird, because usually martial artist Ken, he is a scary unit. He will literally 1v3 in Guild Wars most of the time. So really surprised how my team managed to kill off his entire team. He must have done something wrong. Something terribly wrong for this to happen. Second team, I think, is pretty straightforward. It just Strays. Probably the... I don't know if Strays went first, but probably the Briar Witch S3 to strip everything, defense break, and then Strays just Oonga Boonga blow everything up. Yeah, pretty obvious. Not even Fallen CC can save me from that. Alright, on to my actual offensive Guild War attacks. For the first one, I fought this dude, and it was a clean sweep. I didn't lose any characters, wiped off his entire team. And I believe I won the first half because my Meteor Caloric outsped the Pirate Captain Flan, so I was able to get off the attack buff and immunity buff. And then shortly after, we weakness broke and provoked the Abyssal Euphine, and just sent the Spectre Tenebria ultimate onto her. She dies with only Roana and Pirate Captain Flan. It was pretty simple after that, so pretty straightforward fight. The second half, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, I need to bring Zahak for Aiden. And then I saw Senya, I was like, this is the perfect time to bring out just 2 fire units, and it shouldn't be an issue, because Zahak will just take care of Aiden. And then, even if Zahak ends up dying to Senya, which would suck, because then I wouldn't be able to deal with evasion units later on, Fire Ken and Ravi should easily be able to clean up Senya, even if the fight does take a while when she ends up not getting crit by their attacks, but it's less likely since they're both fire units. Alright, second match. This is where it gets really spicy. So for the first half, we have my Tywin, my Wyvern 13 tank, Ludwig, and Alots. I decided to go for a Ludwig cleave, and it actually worked. Sort of worked. It barely didn't work. I almost failed it, to be fair. And then second half, we have the standard Meteor Caloric, Falconer Clarity, and Spectre Tenebria team. Unfortunately, I lost Meteor Caloric in this fight. Now at first, I didn't even want to touch this defense team because I saw the first half and I was already scared. I've had really bad experiences fighting Spirit Isolate, especially when I first returned to the game. I fought a couple of them and they just completely destroyed me. 1v3 to 1v4'd my entire team. And I couldn't really see any counterplay around her at the time with the characters I had built. However, when I took a closer look at the team combination for the first half, I noticed that a good way to deal with them is to just play really fast and aggressive and cleave them. Because all 3 of these units, if you play slow against them, they have something in their kit to basically 1v3 and solo carry by themselves. Arya can proc her S3, giving her allies stealth and then counterattacking and protecting her entire team. Spirit Isoline can bring back her allies, give herself immortality, and do her stupid counterattack, lifesteal thing, the full HP, and she can't get one-shotted because of her stupid passive. And of course, I don't think I need to describe what ML Bellona does. She just freaking does damage and heals herself up. So what ended up happening was I pushed up Ludwig, and I stunned the Spirit Isoline, preventing her from using her skill 3. After that, I don't remember if Tywin was faster than both Arya and Bellona, but he got his S3 off as well, and I think I got all the defense breaks off. Arya and Bellona both used their ultimates, so I think my Alots ended up dying after that. However, when it was my Ludwig's turn, he used his S3, and it blew everyone up except for the Bellona, the ML Bellona. She lived with like around 15-20% HP, and then from there I was like, okay, we should have this. But oh man, it was so close. Bellona, when she gets low with Sigurd's Scythe and her counterattacks, she basically diced up Tywin in 2 turns, and all that remained was Ludwig. Luckily for Ludwig, he has his invincibility on his skill too, so eventually he was able to finish off the Bellona just barely. He had like 20% HP. It was a very close fight. I basically almost lost the first half, but we managed to pull it off somehow. I thought it was quite amusing. If I had a better defense breaker than Tywin, probably, maybe someone like Ran, but here's the problem with Ran. I don't have the gear for him. He needs to be giga fast, and he also needs to be built on damage. So there's no way I'm going to be using Ran in the first half. As for the second half, pretty straightforward. Just the usual Meteor Caloric ultimate into Falconer Clary strip. I forgot which one I stripped, whether it was Senya or Shu. I believe it was Senya probably, because Shu can be taken care of by Falconer Clary. She has like a slight advantage due to the elements. But either way, ended up losing Meteor Coeric in the process, so that's going to make the last match a little bit more difficult. And finally, for the last fight, you guys might see something similar at the very bottom, the second half. But anyways, the first half we brought Fallen Cecilia, Ruel of Light, and Celine. The second half we brought Falconer Clary, Spectre, Tenebria, and Zahak. Now the first half, I saw his team and I already knew this was a Celine fight, because whether Celine attacks the Ran or Strays, either result is good for me. And since we're fighting against AI, I mean, obviously, if you're against a real player, they're not going to use Rand's skill 2 and trigger Celine, but we're against AI, so I figured this is the perfect place to bring Celine. After that, I was like, okay, so if I end up hitting and killing the Rand instead of Strays, now we have to deal with Strays, and he's going to try to one-shot someone on my team. So for the remainder 2 heroes on my team, I chose Fallen Cecilia and Ruel of Light. This is where I believe Ruel of Light actually shines. Because worst case scenario, Strays one-shots Ruel, and we still have Fallen Cecilia to protect Celine. And if it goes the other way around, where the Strays decides to one-shot either Celine or Fallen Cecilia, Ruel can just bring him back to life, so it's not a huge deal. So that's exactly how the match played out, actually. In fact, I believe my Celine went onto the Strays instead of the Ran after the Ran skill 2, so we just deleted Strays straight off the fight in the very beginning, so we had absolutely no issues with that. And with only Conqueror Lilius and Ran, they're not going to win, because Ran can't deal with Celine, and Conqueror Lilius is just a support. So now we have we have a healer reviver, a super mega tank, and a Celine who's ready to rip everyone to shreds. So as a result, I basically went for the win, and we didn't lose anyone. Not that it really mattered, this was the last fight. Now the second fight was the interesting one. Very similar to the previous fight. There's Arya and Spirit Eye Celine once again. Except this time there's a Remnant Violet, so we have to bring Zahak. Now since I don't have A-lots available for the cleave, I decided maybe I'm fast enough. The only way I lose this match is if the Spirit Eye Celine outspeeds my Falconer Clary. Because what I planned on doing was soul burning my Falconer Clary's S3 onto Celine, so she gets taunted and provoked. After that, I'll have Zahak buff up my Spectre Tenebria, and then have Zahak use his skill 3 into the Violet, which ended up one-shotting him, obviously. And then Spectre Tenebria after that will send her skill 3 into Spirit Eye Celine, which won't one-shot her, but it will deal a majority of her HP and stun her, most likely. It doesn't really matter because she's provoked anyways. And that leaves Arya, who will take a turn, use her skill 3 to give Spirit Eye Celine stealth and herself counterattack. But it's not an issue, because once it gets to Spectre Tenebria's turn, she's going to hit 2 units because her skill 3 is on cooldown. So that's exactly what happened. However, we almost actually lost this fight, because after we killed Spirit Eye Celine with Spectre Tenebria's skill 1, hitting both units, this Arya, holy crap, dude. She killed Zahak and then Spectre Tenebria, and what ended up happening was just a fight between Falconer Clary and Arya. So that was very scary. Once my Spectre Tenebria died, I was like, oh no, did we just lose? Are we going to lose this? But eventually Falconer Clary got in. She has the Justice for All artifacts, so she gets a lot of buffs, and she passively heals herself up and gives combat readiness push. So eventually I just ended up taking more turns than the Arya and eventually whittling her down and defeating her. But that was a little bit too close for comfort, that's for sure. Okay guys, well that's going to be it for this Epic 7 video. If you guys have any advice or any feedback to give on the characters I've built, or if there's any way I can improve upon building them, I'd love to hear it. Any feedback is greatly appreciated. But other than that, if you guys enjoyed the video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next Epic 7 video. Peace.